Hello everyone, and welcome back to another brand new video. Today we're going to be briefly going over the most recent episode of Pokemon Horizons, because not much really happened in this episode. I thought we would get a bit more, but it really was just the kids and Freed arriving at Laqua and going around and exploring in order to get to their final destination, which of course eventually wound up being to come across the explorers. So like I said, the entire episode is really just Liko, Roy, Dot, and Freed just traveling around Laqua, seeing all the sites where they see lots of Pokemon. It's really interesting to me that they get kind of excited and surprised about all the Pokemon out there. They don't even really see too many legendaries at first. It's just random normal Pokemon. I was honestly wondering if they were gonna see some Paradox Pokemon. I know they're not in Area 0 anymore, they're in Laqua, but I was just curious, especially considering we know Lucius has his own Paradox Pokemon. I thought we might see some, but we didn't. But regardless, we did see the kids, kind of just talking about how happy they were to be there and just reminiscing on their journey and all the people they've met so far. So it really was kind of just this big summary before the big showdown next week. And the episode indeed does end with Terapagos achieving its terrestrial form in order to reveal this spot where there's a lot of the Lacurium around. And we do see 3 of the explorers show up. Actually, no, we see 4 of them. We see the guy Spinal or Spinel, however you pronounce his name, along with Coral, Sidian, and Chalice. So we do know next week they're going to be getting into their battle. And so I'm going to actually be merging this review into those 2 portions because, like I said, not much really happened here to warrant this episode having a full review to itself. So I will be continuing on with the following episode right now. Alright guys, now let's get into the following episode, which is the Rising Voltaclers versus the Explorers. And as expected, today's episode was much more action-packed than last week, so we get pretty much right into things after we left off last time, where the Rising Voltaclers get into battle with the Explorers. Now, Freed is on his own, battling Spinel a bit farther off than Liko, Roy, and Dot are battling the others, but regardless, the episode is pretty good. I really enjoy the different battle tactics and strategies all of the different characters use in this episode. I really enjoyed Freed in particular, which is ironic because I usually don't care much for Freed as a character, but he did use his Pokemon well here in order to combat Spinel, which makes sense since all of these characters have kind of battled these characters a lot by now, so you would think that they would know each other's different strategies and how to counter them, so I really enjoyed seeing that. For example, Freed using Cap, I guess his ability is actually Lightning Rod, and he was able to absorb the electric attacks from Spinel's Behem in order to protect Charizard, and then Charizard, terrestrialized into his Dark type in order to have a better advantage against Behem, while they both were able to also work on attacking Umbreon at the same time and overwhelming it. So that was really nice, I enjoyed that. As for Liko, Roy, and Dot, again, Liko and Sidian, they've battled so many times. I actually just recently got watching one of their recent battles dubbed, and seeing how they've battled each other so much, they continue to adapt to each other, like Sidian now being able to use terrestrialization, and Florgato having more advanced movement skills, and Liko having to get around that. So all of that was really nice to see, being able to take down Garganacl, even using different skills and new moves that Florgato has learned. So all that was really cool. As for Roy, he actually had a bit of a different time battling Coral since she used her new Scream Tail instead of her Glalie, and so Roy had to adapt to this Pokemon he's never even seen before, this Paradox Pokemon. But again, he was able to overpower it. Now, she did have the upper hand for a bit. I think Cora really doesn't understand too much about Screamtail yet. She kind of just kept commanding the same strategies over and over. And she did even terrestrialize it. She terrestrialized it into a pure fairy type. But Roy and Crocolore was still able to pull through by overpowering it with Flame Charge, boosting up Crocolore's speed, and just overall overpowering it in the end. Now, as for Dot, she battled against Chalice and her Medicham, which, by the way, I found out through the dub that Chalice is pronounced Chalice. So, yeah. So she battled Chalice and her Medicham, which she did briefly do in the last arc, but it wasn't a super long battle, so she wasn't too familiar with her in order to perfectly counter her, but she did wind up doing so. And I do love how that's inconsistent with Dot, how she always comes up with a lot of interesting strategies when battling, and so this time she was able to get the ground wet around Medicham, who was being very agile and dodging all of her attacks from Quaxwell. And in getting the ground wet, she was able to use Roy's attack against Screamtail to her advantage to deflect toward Medicham, and then caused her to slip, which allowed her to land a direct hit on it with Aqua Cutter. So all of the kids did really well with their battling. They were able to take down their opponents and start getting the upper hand, and the episode ended with what appeared to be, I think his name is Gibeon, unleashing this power in the Laquium behind them. And so in the next episode, I guess they're gonna actually start facing him, and all of the explorers and everyone are gonna start battling together against him. So overall, long story short, these recent 2 episodes were really great. I love how they've been building upon the kids arriving to Laqua and then finally facing the explorers. And the battle is not ending yet. I think the next couple of episodes we're going to still be taking on all of these explorers, and even I believe the 6 heroes are going to be joining in on the fight soon. So I really like how they've been extending all of this out. It's not just been 1 or 2 episodes for this massive climax. They're actually spreading it apart in multiple episodes, so I actually appreciate that. So in the next episode, we're going to be having Gibeon join in on the battle, and we'll see what happens then. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Thank you!